So like I said, today we're gonna focus a lot on breakout retest. Same strategy, shifting momentum, retest, etc. Um, the whole idea is I want you guys to strengthen your analysis. So when you actually join up the charts, um, to understand the overall direction of the trend. Yes, it's good to see or to use the trend line, but also like you would notice that when you start to identify things like channels and stuff like that, you'll be able to tell that when price reaches a specific point, you're looking for it to drop or you're looking for it to break out, right? So odd NZD, right? Drawing a trend line on it on the weekly time frame. Everybody can see what we have here, right? Now, yes, it is a type of channel. They have to break through that candle there because that was a fake out. Everybody could see that it's a downward channel, right? To some degree, everybody can see that.
Yes.
Perfect. That was on the weekly time frame. So the reason why we go higher time frames and drop down is because we're looking at something called a top-down analysis or top-down approach. So you're starting from a higher time frame, you're analyzing the overall direction of the trend, and then you come down to the 1 hour time frame, which is where we look for our entry from the 1 hour down using the shift of momentum and the retest. Right? So we have a downward channel here. Now, usually with a downward channel, right? With a downward channel, and just make sure that you're taking notes as well. When you have a downward channel, you're expecting that price will eventually break out, right? Give you a retest, and then continue up. That's how downward channels move, right? With the upward channel, so if the channel is going up, then you're expecting that price will eventually break out to the downside, retest, and then continue down, right? So downward channel, you're looking for price to break out to the upside, retest, and then continue up. Upward channel, you're looking for price to break out to the downside, retest, and then continue down. Right, so that's just key for you guys to make note of if you didn't know before. All right, so we have this on the weekly time frame. All right, so we're gonna start to come down now to see what price is doing. So we can see on the daily time frame, price try to break through, but we're still within the channel as such, right? And we could come all the way down to see what price is doing. Adding our MACD, right? Even on the 4 hour time frame. And it's beautiful when you have the 4 hour, 1 hour, and the remaining time frames lining up together, especially 4 hour, because then you know the move is going to be great, right? So everybody could see here. Let's draw the trend line first. So you can see that the trend here is up. All right. So we have an uptrend. Obviously, price is trying to break through now. But what else are we seeing? So the next thing that we're seeing is that we already know that we're at the top of the channel. So there's 1 or 2 things that's going to happen here. Either price is going to reject the top of the channel and drop to give us another move down before it breaks out to the upside, or price is going to break up from here, right? And then start to give us the confirmation for the MACD. Right? Everybody following? Yeah? Good. So, and all you need to do is just start the boxing price. Right? So, what we have here, and we analyzing it, this on the 4 hour time frame. Yeah? You have this low, and now you can see how price basically is giving us another low here, right? So we can see how price is giving us the retest on the 4-hour time frame. Let's drop down to the 1-hour time frame and let's see what price is doing. Right? So this is the 1-hour time frame here. Yeah. So obviously when price was here, we would have had a little move up. You know, not much, but you got about 40 pips there. But now we're getting the same thing again, where you had a low here, right? And you're having another low. No, I would have done the last boot camp that I did. We talked about letters as formation. So can somebody tell me what is currently forming on odd NZE? What is currently forming on odd NZE?
Yeah, W pattern.
That's right.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Well done. So we have a W pattern here forming. So we expect, so what we're expecting, right, is for price to come up, we test the middle, and then break out. Right, so we're expecting price to come up, we test the middle, and then break out. Right, now you can actually participate in this before it even gives you the retest. Right, you can participate in this because as you guys can see here, you already have a retest happening here for the W. So just wait for the momentum to move away from the MACD signal line, and then you could look to enter for your buy. That's on the 1-hour time frame. If you come down on other time frames as well, you can see how it's actually starting to shape out on the 30 minutes. So this may be an entry on the 30-minute time frame as we speak. On the 15-minute time frame, the entry would have been just around here, so it's still an entry zone. If we look at the position of the candles and so on, compared to the M15 lows and etc., you can see that this is still entry zone. So this could be something that you guys could start to take from Sunday. I'm not really in favor of trading Sundays, but we'll see how it shapes out because I expect this to move. If we don't do it on Sunday, we definitely would get into it during the session tomorrow. Right. So my analysis for this, first of all, I have a type of bullish flag forming. Right. So we spoke about bullish flags last time as well. If you guys don't know how to identify them, we have a type of bullish flag. Right. We have a bullish flag here forming. Right. Move to upside flag. And now we're waiting for the W to complete and for the trade to push up. So, coach, why would it continue up here rather than drop down? What type of channel is this? As much as it's a bullish flag, what type of channel is it that is forming that I would have just spoke about?
A downward channel.
That's right. So we got downward channel forming, right? And what happens with a downward channel?
Price breaks above to the upside
And continue up.
Tests, and then it continues up.
Correct. So if we look at all of the time frames on odd NZE starting from the 4-hour time frame, we can see how the MACD is lining up beautifully for our buy, right? The 1-hour time frame, same thing, right? And then on the 1-hour time frame, what we start to see that's even great is that we started to see a type of pattern forming, which is our W pattern, right? So we know that we need to complete this W, and we know that the center of the W is going to be retested. So if you had to enter on NZE for the buy, right, Now, if you wanted to, you could actually do a small position if you wanted to. Right? So this would be entry number 1, given that we have the confirmation on M30 time frame, right? Wait for it to go up, come back and retest, and I will look for another entry here,
Number 2.
right? Wait for it to break out again. Come back and retest, right? And I will look for another entry here as it tests my trend line.
And that's the beginning of formation of a head and shoulder.
You find?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a big bullish flag, so this going up, 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 all the way up, Marcia. But don't forget what the weekly time frame giving us. So this now has to break out.
Yeah.
So if I had to do a projection of where I expect odd and ZD to go, so I can start to do my little projections where, and you guys need to start to do this with your support and resistance, right? So on the weekly time frame, this is a major zone here. That's a major zone there, right? So so what's the possibility? The possibility is that odd and ZD would break out and touch this zone here before it comes back and it does a retest on the trend line. Right, so let me just do the pick count to that resistance. Enter for the trade, nice. That's still a good 229 picks before we get to that weekly resistance, which is a very strong resistance zone. Right, so even if you have to take the trade from now based on our smaller confirmations, to the top of this flag is 64 pips. Top of the flag is 64 pips. So this is how I want you guys to start to analyze trades, right? And this is critical, especially in your journey of being a master trader, right? You need to do top-down analysis. So if I had to, you guys could actually make note of it. Guys could start to make note of it. But for this week, you can look at odd and ZD for the buy, right? And you can make your little note on that. So my notes would be and let me look for that resistance zone. Let's see where that is. All right, so we good with this? Good with NZD? Nice. All right, so what to look at is capture. All right, so let me just send this up real quick. Capture. So here we have capture. Nice uptrend happening. Right? So we got upward channel happening here on CAD-CHEF, right? So question to Janice, where do you expect CAD-CHEF to go given that we have an upward channel happening? Where do you expect? Let's go this way. Yes, Alex. Janice, Marcia,
I'm here.
where do we expect CAD-CHEF to go long term?
Upward channel, it will break to the downside, retest, and then continue downward.
Exactly. There we go. All right, so so let me see where I could see where could this. Good. So notice what I just did there. Just went up to the daily and tried to see if I could analyze or see any type of trend happening so I could draw a trend line, and it was able to get this one here. Right? Now, you know, know that we have this, and you don't need to try to see what else you could get, because for me this is enough. We know we got upward channel, we know it has to break up to the downside, so therefore having this trend line here is key. Now there's a lot of things that happening here on CAD-CHEF that looks amazing, right? Having this trend line here, we can see it being tested 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times here, right? On the 3rd time that it was tested, we closed with a daily engulfing candle. And we spoke about third touch engulfings. So you see how everything tends to come together?
Back together.
Yes. So we got third touch engulfing on the daily time frame. So you know that's a pretty powerful candle there, right? Now, from here, what we start to do is to map out our resistance, right? So we can see now what it is that price would have done a daily engulfing, because on the 4-hour time frame, we can see double tops. And then here again, we have another triple top. We have a triple top happening, right? So can I say that CAD-CHEF is gonna break out and go to the top of that channel before it drops again? I highly doubt. Why? We are at the trend line. We formed a pretty strong resistance. We have a daily engulfing time frame. So right now, CAD-CHEF is looking really nice for the sell. Right? No. No, no, no. Are we going to get it right now? No. Because our 1-hour time frame, when we're looking for entry, is basically telling us that there's a possibility price is going to retest. So what I would like to see is potentially price coming back up. Price could eventually come back up anywhere around this zone, right? And probably test our resistance again before it drops to the downside on the 1-hour. And if we don't get the retest entry on the 1-hour, we certainly will get it on a lower time frame. So let's see what's happening with the M30. Same thing as well. M15, same thing as well. So everything is telling us right now that price still needs to go back up and give us a retest before we get him for our entry. All right, so a note on this would be
watch price here.
And this is how you guys should just analyze. And you see how just by back testing and looking at the overall picture, we are starting to map out something for ourselves for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're starting to map out something for ourselves for the week. There's a lot of different things you guys could do here, and there's a lot of different entries that you could use here as well. You could, if you feel uncomfortable trying to get a retest up here, or it doesn't give you the entry for the retest, you can enter on a solid breaking candle around here. Or you could wait for price to break out here, come back and retest. To come here, retest here, probably retest around here, and then continue its way down, right? Now, coach, why specifically that area price you expect price to retest? So if we look, again, this is the middle of any of the patterns that we spoke about. If you want to see it as an M, a triple M, whatever, you can see that the M pattern here, you can see that this is, I call it the nose or the neckline of the M, is all within this zone. So I expect that when price gives us a solid breaking candle and it drops, it's going to come back and test this zone.
That's also draw.
Exactly. So therefore, from here, we're going to draw our support zone here. Yeah. So it's likely that price would also pause here before it gives us a breakout as well. Right. So you're gonna have position here, and then another position here. These are your positions, right? That you can expect with a chef.
Those are positions we can enter.
Yeah, once you, so you can get,
Yeah.
you get confirmations. You're gonna get a retest here for entry, right? Or even somewhere within this zone, because it may not come all the way back up here. So let me just bring it down a little bit, because I doubt it's gonna come back up to that zone. Why? If you look at CAD-CHEF right now, what type of pattern zone? I want you guys to zone into here. What type of pattern is forming? What type of pattern is forming, guys?
M?
Sorry?
A M?
Nope.
No? Head and shoulders.
That's right. There we go, money. So we got a nice head and shoulder pattern here for me. Right? So price likely to come back to this one here for your right shoulder before it drops.
Yeah.
Yes, Alex. So now everybody should be able to see what it is that so you can look to sell CAD-CHEF on the retest. Lovely.
Head and shoulder forming for some.
So you guys now start to see how top-down analysis just comes together, and it gives you a really nice projection for your entry time frames, which is 1 hour and downward, right? Because if you analyze it on the weekly or the daily or even the 4-hour time frame, you start to pick up things like channels, flags, stuff like that. You know exactly where you're looking for a nice entry. So when you drop down to your 1 hour time frame, your 30-minute or your 15-minute time frame, you know exactly where you want to aim to get into the market. So we can fly CAD-CHEF too, because that would be a nice trade. We're gonna have a good week. Trust me, it's coming. We're gonna have a really, really good week. I missed a really nice move on Chef J, but it's gonna give us another entry. It's gonna give us another entry, guys. Right. So Chef JPY, right? So JPY, if you check here, we can see that we are at the degree resistance zone, and everybody can see that.
Yes.
Lovely. You can see that we are at the peak resistance zone. And what type of candlestick pattern do we have on the weekly resistance? What type of pattern we have here? Candlestick pattern.
I'm not very good with those.
Okay. So we have a type of engulfing. This is one of the candlestick patterns that Vicky was talking about in the chat, where she said if an engulfing can be equal,
Same size, yeah.
right, same size. So now Kamara and I would have sent her a link, you know, telling her another type of pattern to look at, right?
Railroad.
That's right. The railroad pattern, right? Which is what we have here. This is a railroad.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't know what it looks like. You can
A
see,
railroad?
yeah,
Yeah.
railroad. It looks,
RAIL?
yeah. If you look at
Yeah,
it, you
like
will
the
notice that
train.
it look like a train track.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyhow, it takes
Look,
the same type
there's
of
one
form
back here too.
as an engulfing candle. Right? It takes the same type of form. So we're looking for price to really give us a nice downward move here on Chef JPY. Right? Now, given that this is a weekly time frame, I really expect Chef JPY to at least come around here to sell at least to this zone here. Right? Sell this zone here. So we come down to the time frames, right? Start to map out a nice upward trend, right? Some might even argue that it may be some type of channel. Some type of channel, right? Let me break down a little more. Now, when we have a channel like this, similarly to CalChef, we're looking for a resistance to stop the channel, to basically end the channel, right? So we're looking for a resistance. And when we come down to the 4-hour time frame, we can start to see how we're having a resistance happening here, which is still around our weekly resistance zone, right? So this is what we're having. We can see how the MACD is lining up beautifully with the channel that we would have identified. We know what to expect from an upward channel already as well, and we can see that price is basically touched here twice to give us some type of an M pattern, right? No, is Chef JPY ready for us to sell? No. Chef JPY is not ready for us to sell because we can see how we are getting a 1-hour retest here for the buy again, right? So there's possibilities that this could come back up to here, or it could come back up to our highs. So what I would say for this, right, is that to keep your eye on resistance zones. So the first zone that I would look at would be around here.
Yeah.
Right? If it breaks this zone, then it's going back up to the weekly. Given that it's so close to the weekly zone, there's a possibility that it may touch it. Right? So for notes, I would say look for some opportunities here. Take it down and I say look for some opportunities. So you're looking for some opportunities here. Or here.
Right there. Mhm. If it breaks this one, it should go to the next one.
Right? They're looking for some opportunities here or there. So we already know that this is weekly resistance. So like I say, because this resistance zone is so close to the weekly, there's a possibility that this can test our weekly zone here and then drop. Right? So everybody can see that there. So you need to keep your eye on it. See if we get this. And then we get a drop to the wrong here. And more than likely would come back and give us a retest here. Why? This is the nose or the neckline of an M.
Okay.
All right. So to get in at the solid braid of here as well. And then you can also get in on the retest of there.
Straight on trace.
All right. So okay, that is Chef JP Willie. Others I was looking at. So, okay. All right. So you're a cab. No. So your cab currently is farming what? What's farming? What's farming here, guys?
Up, it came down. Just went up.
What is farming here? Yeah, bullish flag. Bullish flag. Yes, it's still a channel. It is a channel, downward channel, the form of a bullish flag. Right, so you got bullish flag forming. No. There we go, bullish flag forming. We would have missed the entry around here. However, that on this is that it's going to come up, give us a third touch because it did not do third touches yet. If we count the amount of touches that we have 1, 2. We haven't had the third touches yet, so it's not going to break up the third. So we're going to get a third touch. Price is then probably going to come back down to this zone around here, and then give us fourth touch breakout. Right? And you can see how the 1 hour time frame is actually lining up for that sell.
Go for the top, go back, and then sell.
Right, so we're obviously we want to look at buy opportunities with your CAD. We want to look at buy opportunities with your CAD, but we need to wait for the market to set up. So we can see 1 hour is showing us sell opportunities, 30-minute is showing us sell opportunities, 15-minute as well. So we want to get for our buy, right? We want to get for our buy. Trying to think if I made a mistake there if it was saying that we want to get for sales, but we want to get him for buy, right? And why do we want to get him for buy? What happens with a downward channel, Marcia?
What happens with a downward channel? They're going to break out for to the upside. Retest and continue.
Good.
Downward channel breaks out to the upside. Upward channel breaks out to the downside.
That's right. So we're looking for this to break out. And then if you look 4 hour time frame, this is a bullish flag. So is a high possibility that price is going to come all the way up to give us another cut of our weekly resistance zone. All right, it's a high possibility, but you guys have entry here, entry on breakout. So when you're mapping out, you guys don't know. And sometimes I find that we tend to map out a projection. We don't ever look back at it for another opportunity like later on in the week for another opportunity to get back in, because it could be retesting another zone for us to look for entry. Forget about it. So this is the entries here. Solid candle break here. Down here when it retests. Solid candle break there. And then retest here. And that would be the retest of the W neckline. So you got 3 entries for your CAD before it continues to the upside. Right, Marcia?
Yes, I'm looking. Yes, I'm seeing.
Okay. Everybody agree? Everybody can see? What I see?
So each time you drop down from, if you start with the 4 hour zone, when you drop down to the 1 hour, draw your support resistance at then.
Yes.
Yeah. them see how they come back together.
Yep. And it gives a nice line up with the MACD.
You're drawing it on the 4 hour or the 1 hour?
She
What's
started
that?
at the
Sometimes I start with the weekly, depending on prices are out. What you're doing is just going through the higher time frames to see which zone prices are. If prices are a daily resistance or daily support or weekly resistance, weekly support, because you know if prices at those zones, you're gonna have a large move. So the only thing you need to do now is do a top-down analysis. You start here from the weekly, you come down, forward time frame, see if you could see any channels, patterns, you know, anything like that. And what we would have identified, so let me just run back through it again, is that on the weekly time frame, we identified that we are at a weekly resistance zone,
distance. So
right? Roughly thereabouts. So when I come down to my daily time frame, I can start to see a bullish flag here, right? Impulse, bullish flag to come back and retest this zone here, right? So when it comes down to the forward time frame, I can see that my bullish flag is in the form of a channel. So my bullish flag is in the form of a channel. Come down to my 1 hour time frame node to look for my entry, which is, we already had shift in momentum, wait for the retest, and then enter for the buy. So it all comes together. What we focused a lot on in the last couple of months was entries, making it simple for you guys to understand entries and using the MACD to enter now and building you guys up. So you know ahead and show the patterns, you know a few patterns. At the beginning of August, we spoke about W's and M's. So I show you guys how to look for the retest of the center of a W or the retest of the center of an M. Right? So all we're doing now is getting the whole picture together so you guys can identify the trend, the overall move in the market, and then using the MACD for your entry. Right? So something like this will give you a good idea of where to look for possible entries. So you know, okay, this is not gonna break us yet. Right? So if we're looking at the channel, this is not gonna break as yet. So when it comes back up here, it's not gonna break. Why? 1, 2
touches. Yeah.
Only 2 touches on the trend line. So we know that the trend line is confirmed, right? We know the trend line is activated. We know the trend line is activated, but the trend line is not confirmed, right? So we know it's activated, but it is not confirmed as yet. So we need a third touch. We need a third touch to the trend line. And then from there, we know that usually on a third touch, you get engulfing. So it's gonna give us a drop. Comes back up and breaks on the 4th.
So question, Karen, so I hear you talking channels. Channels and flags are similar?
Yeah.
Or they're...
A channel is just, you're just drawing two, all you're doing is just drawing 2 trend lines to identify a resistance and a support. So you could see like it's gonna come, and it's not nothing easy. You have to program your mind to see it because it's not an easy thing, huh? You have to play around with it sometimes. So I was able to look at this and say, okay, well, prices is moving, you know, in a bit of a wave.
Yeah.
Right. So then I took the trend line and just played around with some lows to see if I could get a support happening here for that wave. Right. So the channel.
So you draw the trend lines to see if you get touches on the trend lines.
Yeah.
Okay. And the 2 lines will then form the channel.
Yeah. Even if you don't And if you guys are struggling with like drawing your own channel, you don't have to do it. There's a tool that TradingView gives you to draw a channel. What is that one? Trying to find it now. I think it's the channel, you know. So more sure that it is this. Let me just double check. Yes. No, it's not. Wait, hang on. I don't usually use it, but I can find it for you guys. I don't usually use it. I think it's here. Right. So it's here. So where you see trend line, parallel channel, you start just where it started my resistance. You click here and you just bring it down, similar because it starts as a trend line. So you just bring it down to get the resistance coming down. And once you click to get your trend line at the top, then you pull down after you click and it actually gives you
Ta-da.
type of channel. So you don't have to try to force trend line to see if this is it, this is not it, kind of thing. You could use the parallel channel to show you whether or not it's a channel or not, basically.
So would it be right to say then that if I can see a flag, more than likely that's a channel?
No,
No?
it's not. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. But I would say that, you know, you would know, sometimes you would be able to see a channel. Now, I don't always see them either, right? But it's something that your mind would eventually see if you train your mind to. A channel, once you could see a wave happening on the downside or a wave happening on the upside, take the parallel channel and see if you could identify one. But you don't have to force it. But channels are really good for looking at different things. So, like example, if you see a channel forming, a nice zone to get in, a nice area to look for entry would be at the bottom of the channel for buy or the top of the channel for sell. Right?
From here,
so if it was looking at 1 hour time frame here for the bottom of here, we go lower time frames. Right. So here you kind of had a retest here happening. Probably would see it back on the 5 minute, but we already know we at the bottom of the channel. So I would just be looking for buy opportunities to happen anywhere in this zone because I know I at the bottom and I know it has to go to the top. So I could easily come down to a lower time frame and see if I could get a small entry from as close as possible and ride it to the top of that channel.
So coach, question.
But the whole idea is not the channel. I don't want to get too distracted. The channel is just to identify, for the purpose of this class, that we identified the direction that happens after the channel is formed. So from a downward channel, you're looking for a breakout to the upside, and from an upward channel, you're looking for a breakout to the downside. But I don't want to go into a lot of detail on channels and trading channels and stuff like that because that's getting really complicated. This is just for you to be able to, whenever you see a channel and it looks as if it's slanting down, you know that the projection, if you're projecting long term what the trade is going to do, you're looking for it to push and break out to the upside. So we have a downward channel here. And that's why I can easily say, okay, we're looking for EuroCAD to actually continue up as a projection. Right? So that's basically how we're treating it. So similarly with CAD Chef had an upward channel happening here, and all I'm using the channel to identify is how can I project where CAD Chef is gonna go. So I know, okay, well, based on my upward channel, I know after upward channel, trade looks to sell, it looks to break up to the downside, it looks to sell. So therefore, that will give me confirmations that I need to look for sell opportunities. So when I see something like this happening, and we know that we saw a head and shoulders forming, all of that is coming together with the fact that my knowledge allows me to know that an upward channel gives a breakout to the downside. So it's just to build a story so that when you guys do your analysis, you know, okay, if the trade goes against you, let's say, for example, money, you have to look at this and say, okay, well, when it comes to this trend, I'm gonna look to buy, right? And it had to go against you and sell. When you start to look and ask yourself, but why I lost on this trade, and you have to zoom out. You say, wait, oh shoot, you know what? It's an upward channel, and what happens after upward channel is that the trade looks to break out to the downside. So that is why I lost the trade.
Got you.
So it's just building a story and pulling it together, right? It really, really helps. So Alex is here saying that on your account, if I could see an inverted farming. So let's look. This is on the 1 hour time frame, Alex. Could be, because this could be a left shoulder here. This could be an entire head, which means that it needs to come back here and do the 100% retracement, which is what I'm projecting it to do anyway, because we know it needs to do a third touch, right? And then come back down here, right? Which is around left shoulder zone anyway, to give us a right shoulder and then push up. So yes. So you see as well, even and money is a good thing as well. See how for me, my analysis allowed me to just recognize is a channel. I only had 2 touches of the trend line. I know that it needs to, you know, touch the top and drop, retest before it continues up. That's my analysis, right? And then now is able to say, but hang on a minute, I could see an inverted forming. So this is him building his story based on the knowledge that he has so far. He's able to see more inverted than he would see a channel right now, right? So I can see inverted forming. So coach, I see where you're coming from with regards to the trade coming back down for a retest before it buys.
I would more see a W.
You see a W?
I see a W.
Yes, the W is here, but the W then it's gonna complete and then drop. But it's inverted as well. Right, but you guys could use the parallel channel rather than using trend lines. It's very useful. As a side note, right? As a side note, just for the purpose of you know, for this topic, if you draw a parallel channel properly and you have all the analysis together, you can you see in the parallel channel, you see that there's a middle dotted line. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
It's used as a support and resistance.
Yeah, I see that.
Right? So if you didn't recognize it before, you can see now, look how the trade came up here, test here, came up down, test here, came up, test, come down, test as a resistance, drop again, test, break out, come back. So notice how I expect my retest to come back to my type of middle zone, which lines up perfectly with my left shoulder. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Here. Awesome sauce. So I say this genuinely, guys. It is a beautiful feeling when everything that you're taught starts to come together and make a complete story. Because all before, when you're trying to learn it and learn it at a faster pace, you know, before in other organizations and stuff like that, you feel confused. And that's because, and the reason why you're confused is because you don't know how to break down the information into small increments of learning, right? Of a learning curve. And that's why, you know, I really love the different opportunities and platforms that we had for learning. But even in cases like that, you need a mentor, because you need a mentor to actually break down and say, okay, all right, I know that people talking about support and resistance, trend lines, channels, flags, head and shoulders, this, that, and next and third. But where do I start? Where do I actually put my feet in and say, okay, this is the start of my journey, and I need to then, you know, build a story up. And that was the whole purpose of this academy. So everybody could see it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have personal students in the first 2 months thinking that the feedback that I had was that, you know, I feel as though, you know, like you're building up something, but I don't know when it's going to end, etc. For me, this is with trading, there's no end game. In my opinion, when it comes to learning, this is no end game. It's an academy I can teach you and we can learn and we can master until you feel like, you know, it's no longer challenging you, or I feel that it's no longer challenging me, right? But I can't come and tell you, okay, guys, this is the end, because guess what? Before COVID, right, the market used to move with my breakout strategy a lot between 8 and 10 p.m. in the night. So we could catch trades in the night time. That's when I used to do sessions online on a Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody know that breakup, when I started to give up the trades on a Wednesday night, by Thursday you get 2,000 or 3,000 picks, especially with USD ZAR and the different periods that I would analyze. Now the market is barely moving in the night, and we are more catching a lot of moves in London. So you could see how we have to readjust our style of trading based on things that would happen in COVID, things that happen in the economy, things that happen in the market right now, in order to keep up and stay on track with opportunities in trading forex. So I can't come and tell you, all right, guys, well, this is breakout strategy. Look for it on look for opportunities between 8 and 10 Tuesday to Thursday, because anybody that I would have told that to, let's say 6 months ago, probably in a little, you know, potter now, they're in a little trouble now, because there are not many opportunities happening at that time anymore. And we recognize that when we get into opportunities between 8 and 10 p.m. in the night, by the time London comes, stop loss hit. That's why I say that it's a really beautiful feeling when you can blend everything together and still be on top of the market. If it was easy, everybody would be millionaires, actually. Right? So good spotting this, good on you for spotting this, Alex, in terms of inverted. Yes, it is an inverted head and shoulder. We're waiting for the 100% completion here. And then a retest here for long-term buy, right? If you're looking for short-term opportunities, you could look to get into this trade at the top here for short-term opportunity for a sell. And then you know that obviously, you know, take profit will be anyway in this zone, right? So you still have short-term opportunities this week, because this may not give you the setup. You may not have this until Thursday for this buddy, but you know that early up in the week, you can actually catch a short-term sell back to here, and you know,
We'll get 60
almost
pips.
100 pips. So you know, it's a good opportunity. So I would say, just for the purpose of this call, because they won't be doing the analysis based on the sell. So for the purpose of this call, you guys could look for a bearish engulfing candle close here, right, at this resistance zone, and then you could look for sell opportunities back down to here to form a right shoulder. Right? So you could actually trade your account the whole week. Basically, you could trade your account the whole week. You could trade the sell, and then you could trade it buy. I don't know if you guys ever recognize that there are some pairs that you get opportunity, like GA. GA does it a lot, where you get opportunity for sell like the Tuesday, and then by the Wednesday you get opportunity
Yeah.
for buy, and then the Thursday you get opportunity for another sell. So like this is one of those pairs where you could see that we're gonna have at least 2 opportunities to get in for this week, for a sell and then for a buy to the upside. Cool. So I am going to send this out as well, and I'm actually gonna stop the recording now because I don't want it to be too long. I think that that's good enough there in terms of knowledge for today.